Okay, I assume you are ready for math on March 26th, which is Thursday. Um, we have a few pages to complete today because we are nearing the end of this chapter on area and perimeter, so we're going to do some reviewing today. Now, the positive about doing this at home and that you have been doing all of this without turning it in, you have all of your pages at home. So if you need to review, I want you to go back and look at the previous pages that you've done. There's a page that lists the name of all of the shapes with the different sides. So if you need to be reminded that a hexagon has 6 sides, or that an 8-sided figure is an octagon, then you can go back to that page. If you need to remember the difference between similar and congruent, then you can go back a few pages to do that. I want to ask you if you remember how many degrees are in a triangle. 180, right? Good job. So if you're missing one angle, then you know that you have to add the angles that you have and figure out the difference, okay, between what you have and 180. If you need to review those terms that we talked about a few days ago, translation, rotation, and reflection, go back to that page. You need to know the difference between perimeter and area, which we practiced yesterday, and we reviewed that pretty well yesterday. Remember finding area of a triangle. If area is length times width, if it's a triangle, remember we found that a triangle was half of a rectangle, so it's going to be half length times width, or a lot of times we call that half base times height. Okay, so this is the page that you're going to do today, the Chapter 11 review. This is page 261 and 262 in your book, and you should be able to get through that pretty well, I think. You should know it by now. You've had all of those days, and they're right there in front of you if you need to get it out. If you have a question, please put it in the comments, or please feel free to email me or call me and ask me your question. I want to make sure that you're understanding all this material. Okay, now because we're at the end of the chapter, I want you to finish that up, which you should be able to do, and I want you to do the cumulative review. Remember, cumulative review is really good for us to look at all of the things that we should know at this point and say, do I still know this? Do I still remember how to do this? So that it doesn't get lost in our long-term storage and we can't find it anymore. We need to be able to pull those things out quickly and be able to have them ready for us. Some of this is reviewing your fractions. You've got a few measurements on here that you need to review, and some simple equations. Remember our tables here. Remember these boxes right here. Okay, you've got the total at the top. Can you see that? Probably not very well. But you've got the total at the top. Let's look at 21, and it's got 12 at the top, and then you've got 3 ends. That means that all of those ends are going to be the same. So I'm actually going to divide 12 by 3 to figure out what that n is going to be. But look at 23. Those aren't the same. So you've got 100 and you already have 25 and you're missing n. So that's just a simple subtraction problem, right? Good. Okay, so should be able to do that. 2 reviews down, you'll feel very successful once you get those 2 done and put away. Okay, now yesterday we started a daily review. This is what I want to look at with you today. We're only going to look at one section today. This is a section C on your daily review that you should have started yesterday. This is page 259. And this is reminding us how to write a mathematical expression. They don't want you to solve these. They only want you to know exactly what they're asking and what you're doing with the numbers. Okay? So let's look at number 1. It says the side of a square is 25 inches. What is the perimeter? Now, it does not want you to write the answer. It says write a mathematical expression. So what is my expression going to be if one side is 25? There's a couple ways to do this because it's a square. You got it? One way is 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 equals. But if I'm doing repeated addition, what is probably the better way to write that? The better way to write that might be 25 times 4, right? Good. Okay, number 2. The player scored 6 points more than his 38-point average. So remember, you're not giving me the answer, you're giving me the expression. He scored 6 points more. There we go. So his 38 average, and then we're going to plus it. We're going to add how much more to it? We're going to add 6. Oh, my numbers got messed up. We're going to add 38 plus 6. Okay, now 3. The customer exchanged 16 quarters for dollar bills. 16 quarters for dollar bills. So what they're wanting to figure out is how many dollar bills are you going to get? So what am I going to do? I want to split those 16 quarters into groups of what? Remember, that's my division sign. I'm going to split those 16 quarters into groups of 4. So 16 divided by 4. Okay, number 4. There are 3 plates with 1 dozen brownies on each plate. Remember, I want the expression. 3 plates, and they each have a dozen. So it's 3 times, what's a dozen? 12. Good. Number 5. 13 crayons are missing from the box of 64. So if we had a box of 64, and it is missing 13, so that means I'm going to subtract. Now, 6 through 11 says write a mathematical expression and use n for the unknown parts. So these are going to have unknown parts to them. The team scored 3 more runs in the 3rd inning. We know it's 3 more, but do we know that it's 3 more plus? We don't know. So we're going to say n plus 3. Now, let's look at 7. The teacher arranged 3 rows of desks. 3 rows. So she's taking whatever she has and she's putting them into groups of 3. So that means that we're going to start with an n because we don't know what we're going to start with, but we're going to divide by 3. So n divided by 3. N divided by 3 because we don't know what she started with, but we know that she's splitting them up into groups of 3. Mom saved $3 using coupons. She saved $3, but do we know what she saved it from? So if she saved, that means that it's minus what she would have spent, right? So we're going to do n minus $3 because she saved that amount. The customer needed 35 cents more. More than what? We don't know, so that's where our n goes. N plus, and let's write it correctly, 35 cents. 10. 14 people got off the bus. So if they got off the bus, what is that doing to the number of people on the bus? Making it less, right? So n minus 13. They got off the bus. And then 11. Mr. LeBlanc's class put 100 chairs in rows. In rows. Do we know how many rows? No, but we know the starting number. So we're going to start with 100. We know that they're putting them in rows, so they're grouping them. So, and we know the starting number, so that means that they're dividing. But we don't know what they're dividing by because we don't know how many are in each row. So that's where our n is going to be. So it's going to be 100 divided by n. These lessons are really important because this is an introduction to algebra. When you're trying to work for an unknown number, you just need to recognize math language and know what is it that I'm doing. Am I going to add? Am I going to subtract? What am I doing? Okay, you're doing a great job. I'm proud of the work that you're doing. Keep it up.